Hey, welcome back to another review for my journey through 80s horror films. Of course, I had a retouch on Friday the 13th. And what more can you say about this film that hasn't been said? I mean, Victor Miller, who right now is in a lawsuit with Sean Cunningham over the rights and money and all that, which is why you're not getting any Friday the 13th films anytime soon. He was hired to pretty much rip off Halloween. Sean S. Cunningham, he had done soccer movies, like kids soccer movies. It's like, well, horror films, they're big, they're successful. He put out a page ad with just the title and got a huge buzz. Not this kind of buzz, but, people going, okay, we'll finance it. What's the deal? Paramount got it. And it's a slasher film. Camp Crystal Lake. Find out it's the mother, Mrs. Pamela Voorhees, played by Betsy Palmer, killing people because her child Jason drowned while counselors were not paying attention. And Jason's birthday is Friday the 13th. And Pamela Voorhees used to be the cook at camp. Fights Adrienne King. Adrienne King cuts her head off until the sequel where Adrienne King dies. This is one of those films that's hard to review because what more can you say that hasn't been said? I mean, the effects by Tom Savini are great. Especially the arrow scene where Kevin Bacon is sleeping and gets the arrow through the neck. You also have the axe to the head. The aftermath, like, was it Harry Crosby, related to Bing Crosby, finding his body with arrows sticking through. Really high on the door. Yeah, one person get killed and thrown through a window right in front of Adrienne King. You have the hitchhiker pretty early in the beginning, getting her throat slit. Again, great effects by Tom Savini, who by this point had done Dawn of the Dead, and Dawn of the Dead got him a lot of jobs because of that. And then Friday the 13th even more. Because while there have been slasher films like Halloween, Black Christmas, Friday the 13th was the thing that opened up the floodgates. Because I'm trying to relate, why was it that, Halloween, even Texas Chainsaw Massacre you could call it, these films had been made, but it took Friday the 13th for the floodgates to happen. I think because, to be honest, one bigger studio, Paramount, and other studios went, well, wait a minute, that studio Paramount, it cost that little and you made that much money that it beat out more high-profile films. I think it even beat out like The Shining. I could be wrong, but... And they're like, well, wait, if Paramount can have that, then I want our studio to have our slasher film that's a micro-budget and huge success. And then also they look at Halloween, they go, okay, that's a well-directed film, has a lot of merit. Friday the 13th, oh, you just have kids have sex, they do drugs, and they get killed in gory ways. There's the formula. And studios love a formula. And the film does have a lot of... with that said, the film does have a lot of merits. Harry Manfredini's score, which carried out through a good chunk of the movies. It's a great score by Harry Manfredini. It's a score that when you hear it, you instantly recognize it from Friday the 13th. Not just the but the actual score. And I know Harry Manfredini says it's supposed to be for kill and for mommy. But I'm sorry, even watch it again, it does not fucking sound like that. It does not sound like mama. It sounds exactly like I'm like, Sorry, Harry. I mean, you did do it, so I know that you know what you're talking about. But so many people that say, I hear it. But that is a classic thing. You know, that you go. People know what you're talking about right off the bat. You have the POV shots, like I said, the gore. The cast, there's some good people in the cast. Adrienne King is likable as the lead, who becomes the final survivor until the next movie. But Adrienne King, you know, sad to hear that she went through trouble and was stalked in real life, because she seems like a very nice lady, and I do think she did a really good job in this film. Again, she was easy to root for and to relate to. Betsy Palmer, the little bit that she's in, she does a good job. Yeah, the character Crazy Ralph, who warns them, "You're doomed, you're all doomed." You know, interesting to see Kevin Bacon in an early role. You have the ending where after the decap, you think everything's fine. The boy Jason comes out, grabs Adrienne King, and it's a dream. That means he's still out there. He didn't know half of it. Because they never expected to go this far. No one did. But even with that, the first Friday the 13th is one of those films that I like, but I don't love. Like, I would not put the first Friday the 13th in my favorite slasher films. I would put the sequels. See, Friday the 13th is, to me, one of those rare franchises. Most people, when they say their favorite Elm Street, they mention the first one. For me, it's 3 and 4, and there's others who say 3 or even 4, but a good chunk more will say the first one. Halloween, most will say the best one was the first one. For me, it's Halloween 2 in 1981, but most will say the first one. Chainsaw Massacre, I do think the best one's the first one. A lot of people think that way. Friday the 13th is one of those rare franchises that if you took a poll, I don't think the first film would be many people's favorite of the franchise. Because you get a lot of people to say that part 2's their favorite, part 3, part 4, part 6, part 7, even part 8 I've heard. I mean, but at least, especially like 4 and 3 and 6, and it seems like the sequels are more on people's list of being their favorite than the first one. And it's just the first one, when you watch it again, it is a basic slasher. Like I said, nice kills, good lead, great score, you know, perfectly serviceable. You know, the cast do their jobs well. It's too bad the one scene where they kill a snake, it was an actual snake they killed, which, granted, I'm not best friends with snakes, but you didn't need to do that for a film. You didn't need to kill a snake for a film. I mean, you got Tom Savini doing effects work. You can't tell me he could not have thought of, you know, just make an actual fake snake. If he can make a slit throat and the Mongoloid Jason kid, he can make a fake fucking snake, and you cut that in half. You didn't need to kill a real snake. That's one little thing. Well, it's not little. I mean, that's one thing that I don't like about the film. But it's not like that's like, oh, a terrible movie, I hate it, 0 out of 10. No. Just something I had to mention. The other thing, the mystery of who the killer is bullshit, because it's not fair. And I say it's not fair because even Betsy Palmer in an interview said this. Like, well, this is a mystery that people might want to try to solve of who the killer is. Shouldn't I be at the beginning, like, you know, in the diner or something? And Sean S. Cunningham, the director, said no. And it's not really a fair mystery because usually when you have a mystery, here are your suspects, and that way the audience can go, maybe it's this person, maybe it's that person. Here, you don't even get the suspect until the last 10 minutes of the movie. I mean, if you think about it, How many films have done that where the last 10 minutes introduces a brand new character who's also a very, very important character? Like in the last 10 minutes, someone drives up and it's like, who the hell is this lady? And okay, here's a character we've never seen before. We've never even heard of before. I don't even think she was referenced before. And then, oh, there she is. And wait, she's the killer? And then when you look back, you're telling me this old lady did all this? Like this old lady was able to hold Kevin Bacon down long enough for her to put the arrow through his neck? This old lady killed Harry Crosby, lifted his ass onto the door and put arrows in him? You know, it's funny, there's an interview that Tom Savini did with these guys long, long ago. I don't even know if you can find it now. Called deadpit.com. And they were asking him questions, and Tom Savini talked about how he's not really a fan of Halloween. And he mentioned stuff like, well, like at the beginning, I forget what he said about the beginning, but the one I do remember is, you know, he stitched the knife in the guy, and the guy's hanging there. There's no way that the body would be upheld by that one knife. I'm like, you had a movie, Tom Savini, where an old lady, grandma, hoisted Harry Crosby up on a door with about like 2 or 3 arrows and a bunch of other shit on him, and had so much power she took a grown woman and threw her body through a fucking window. Yeah. This old lady who looks like she's ready to bake apple pie with Opie Taylor. But no, it's not like a thing that kills the movie for me. I'm just saying that, you know, if you don't complain about Halloween for doing that, Tom Savini, you're kind of the pot calling the kettle black, if you know that phrase, Tommy. But I mean, Tom Savini has done a lot of great work. It's too bad he doesn't do effects anymore. He just doesn't. He hasn't done it for a long, long time. But yeah, I mean, what more can we say about Friday the 13th has been said before? I mean, it has a great poster, has a great title, has a great score. Adrienne King and Betsy Palmer do a wonderful job. Like I said, it was cool to see Kevin Bacon in an early role. And stuff that just, you know, the infamous the Tom Savini's door, the Crazy Ralph character, you're doomed. That actor did a good job. Was his name like Walt Gorney? I forget the actor's name. I believe they actually brought him back to do the voiceover at the very beginning of Part 7, The New Blood. I could be wrong, but I believe they did. Of course, the character does come back in Part 2 of Crazy Ralph and kill him off. Maybe in retrospect they wouldn't have killed him off so soon since they made so many other sequels, but oh well. But yeah. What was the I'm just random thought. What was the game they played? Strip Monopoly? Which never played. I wouldn't mind to, but you know, I've heard of Strip Poker, but not so much Strip Monopoly. That's a new one on me. What's that? Strip Sorry? Strip Uno? Strip Uno. Anyway, I'm sorry, I'm going off tangent, but Victor Miller, get your shit together. I know you want more money and stuff, but to be perfectly honest, you had nothing to do with the sequels. Hell, you had nothing to do with Jason getting the hockey mask, which is the big marketing of nowadays. You had nothing to do with that. Your script wasn't really this best thing ever, Oscar-worthy script. You had a job. Your job was to rip off Halloween. You did it. I mean, either get a little bit of payola and shush, or be like, hey, you got paid for your job. You get paid to go to all these conventions. What more do you want? Anyway, I'm getting going off tangent. But either way, thanks for watching. Gotta stop saying either way. Either way, either way, either way. Friday 13th. Good flick. Thanks for watching. Take care. We will see you in another video in my journey through the horror films of the 1980s. Later.